Okay, and someone who's been speaking out very strongly on the situation in Chennai and Tamil Nadu and indeed across the country is actor turned politician Kamal Hassan, chief of the Makkal Nayam. He joins us. Appreciate your joining us at the moment. I'll also be joined later by an AIDMK MLA, Dr. Paramasivam. But first, I want to go to you, Kamal Hassan. I appreciate your joining us, Kamal Hassan, on the show. I want to start by asking you today, before we go into COVID, to talk a little bit, just a little bit about another great star and actor like you who left us today. Your thoughts on Irrfan Khan?
As my tweet said, it's a little too early. I mean, we know that all great innings come to an end, be it life or in an artist's life especially. But this was, he deserved more. And above all, the people who got inspired by Irrfan ji, their lesson is only half learned. Those invisible understudies that he has, they're yet learning and they've lost a guru.
Let me come though to the big question, of course, on coronavirus. Coming to this fight in Chennai and beyond, you've been very vocal in your criticism of both the centre and the state government. You've even called the Narendra Modi government a balcony government. Why is Kamal Hassan so angry with the government at the centre or indeed the Tamil Nadu government on handling of corona?
Sir, the anger is not personal at all. The anger is not even anger. It is my inactivity and the government's which makes me talk like that. The anger is not directed at any person because it's an office and he calls himself the savior of the people, which makes him a government servant. And the question is directed at that person's lack of planning. That's all. It's not an ideological difference. It's just a warning signal for a man in office, and it comes from common man. And sometimes the guy with the ear to the ground can convey so much to the man at the top, and he should listen.
You know, but you called the Narendra Modi government a balcony sarkar. Is that because you were critical of the Janta curfew, all the thali banging, clapping, the flashing of lights? Is that what troubled you?
Yeah, that is when you won the battle, not when you started. I think it was unscientific and illogical. And this is the time for reason and science and not celebration, not as yet.
You know, in your letter to Prime Minister Modi, Kamal Hassan, on April 6th, what you seem to suggest is that the central government has ignored the poor, that the lockdown was done without planning. It's caused enormous misery to the poor. But what else could the government indeed in Tamil Nadu or at the centre have done? I mean, what is it that they could have done that you would have done, for example?
See, we'll have to copy some of the Indian states which have on their own done certain things which would have strengthened the government's arm, any government, by taking the help of the NGOs and the willing people who were ready to come to aid, smudging all party and ideological lines. We should have done that. By the time we made such noises, it was a little too late, very late, actually.
So you're saying the lockdown was done without planning, that there should have been a social safety net that protected the poor, the migrants in a way, almost simultaneously with the lockdown. Is that your basic concern that you're voicing at the moment?
Yes, our constitution, which took a long time to make, never neglected that. It always thought of the poor man. Ours is a robust constitution only because of that, as compared to other neighboring countries. I don't even just mean Pakistan. Many other countries where their constitution was not strong enough and crumbled under dictators. And that's because the constitution was not strong. It didn't empower people, and it had no empathy for people, some of them which failed. But ours is not like that. It's a robust book. The more I do it for selfish reasons now, the more I understand of the great work that's gone into that book.
You know,
And if politics be a way of life, and that's a very important book to pursue. And some of the tenets mentioned in that book has been neglected in a situation like this.
Let's look, Kamal Hassan, though, at Tamil Nadu, a state where the situation remains precarious, number of cases now crossing over 2,000, average of 100 cases a day. Tamil Nadu also has a high number of children under the age of 12 who've got infected. Chennai now has a total lockdown. How do you see the performance of the state government? Because as I said, at the end of the day, any government has been faced with a very difficult situation when you're fighting a pandemic.
I know, but the fact that your alarm that you have in your voice and in your concern was not there in the beginning. They thought this too shall pass, and they had not prepared anything. They were only thinking of importing some kits and be done with that job. But whereas India, its scientists and its doctors are capable of preparing their own kits. Tamil Nadu itself is capable of that. There are people who with the capabilities to produce those kits, and we never thought of them. We never included them in the conversation. Scholars, scientists, and doctors were just part of the herd.
So you're saying
they were not heard.
No, are you saying
spellings.
You're saying therefore your concern is that this entire lockdown, or indeed the approach towards corona, has been a top-down approach. People below are not being consulted, their concerns are not being listened to. What you're calling for is wider consultations with stakeholders, including those who are most affected, whether it's industry, whether it's the poor. Find ways to consult with NGOs, scientists. Am I correct?
Absolutely, sir. But let me explain it a little more, because that's only the headline. What I'm saying is that the common man is also a contributor to the GDP, the small entrepreneur, the laborer, everyday wage earner. For him, there are not two aspects as life and livelihood. It's both one and the same for him. And you suddenly put him into these dire straits without giving him enough warning. And you're willing to bail out the con men, the rich con men, and not my people, the guy who's invisible. It doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a company to talk of. And there's no bailing him out. He has to lie under the flyovers and pick from or scavenge from a garbage for his food.
There will be those who are listening to you, Kamal Hassan, who will say this is, at the end of the day, a politician who's with one eye on next year's Tamil Nadu election. That corona is a time for solidarity, not for a blame game. That you are criticizing the state government simply because you are an opposition politician in Tamil Nadu.
No, that I've stopped. Now, I'm only offering my help. What we are talking about is going back to what I wrote a few weeks back. So we have crossed that bridge of criticizing. Now we'll have to really move. These are no more just critical analysis of the situation. These are warning alarms, and they better listen, because government won't matter afterwards. When the common man in the street doesn't know what to do, is directionless. And you can now say that least governance is the best governance, because that's what is happening now. That should be when the economy and everybody else is healthy. Now the government will have to kick in, and if they're not capable of fully doing the job, they should take the help of those who are willing to come. This is an emergency, and there are many people who will shed their hue, party hues and ideological hues, and come to help. And they're capable people.
You know, when I read what you've been saying in your letters and in your public statements, I'm presuming you're calling for a lockdown with a human face. I read you said somewhere COVID-19 will continue to find more victims who are creating a fertile playground for hunger, exhaustion and deprivation of the poor. You want a lockdown with a human face. Is that correct?
Yeah, the word lockdown, the media, which means you and me, we all should stop using the word lockdown, because lockdown might be a misnomer by the government. But I think we should give it another name. Lockdowns is a very martial term to use. And in this, the people are also partners. When that partnership fails, they break the curfew. They must be made to understand. And I like one thing that our Honorable Chief Minister has done here is he has not threatened the people about lockdown by police action or anything. He's still requesting them. They must be made to understand that they are partners in this battle and they're comrades in arms.
A new citizen state engagement. Very interesting thoughts, Kamal Hassan, you have. Thank you very much for joining us in your political avatar talking on Corona. Now,
hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.